Okay, and there we are. So let's see. So it looks like not too many people have come in, but usually I just go ahead and I'll just jump in anyway. So, like, did you have any initial thoughts about the film before going in, or were you familiar with the trailer?
I was familiar with the trailer. I had not actually seen the film. Last night was when I first watched it. So, um, but I dug it. Overall, it's my type of film. I really like the quirkiness of it, and trying to figure out where it was going to go in the beginning. I
Mm-hmm.
I almost want to say, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but I kind of want to say that the ending was almost anticlimactic
Oh.
in some way, and not in a bad way. I loved the movie overall. I'm sorry I slept on it for so long, but
Mm-hmm.
with how odd and unusual most of the behavior and everything and the tone of the movie was, the last like 10 minutes, it felt like it kind of fell more into kind of a standard thing. So it was like I still liked how it ended. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
the way it ended was not exact. It was a little bit more of a traditional ending than I expected it to be. You know.
Yeah. It still had that final girl feel about it. She had to be
Mhm.
clever and outsmart her way out of it.
Yeah, I guess for me, I would have almost liked to see them just have her get to the boat, drive off in the boat, just park and eat the burger, and you don't have like the explosion. Just
Oh, okay.
wonder kind of how his final meal was going to actually play out, and just have her enjoy the fact that she survived and did outwit the chef.
Mm-hmm.
I almost kind of wish it would have been that way because you knew there was going to be a finality, but leaving it kind of open to how it actually would have played out, I think would have been a little bit stronger for me. But,
Oh, okay.
in general, I didn't not like it. I love the human s'mores idea. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, that was pretty neat. The what was it? The marshmallow stoles that they wore around their shoulders.
Yeah, yeah, the chocolate caps. I mean, yeah, it was creative and and all of that, but I don't know. It was just like for the ending, the way everything else was going, I think it was a little bit more direct than I was almost kind of hoping for.
Hmm.
I was almost hoping for maybe a little bit of a hinted uh paranormal or supernatural or something, with it. But yeah, I mean, it was impressive. I can see why people were talking about it when it first came out.
Yeah, I didn't watch it right away. It had been recommended to me,
Hmm.
and I like to blind watch everything, so I went in without watching the trailer. I didn't know anything about it other than it was
Sure.
food related. So I didn't really know that they were going to be sitting there the entire meal. I thought the film was going to be a little bit different.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, still restaurant related, but I don't know, and that's why I like to blind watch stuff is because I like to go into something and see it the way the director presents it rather than going in thinking it's what I assumed it was based off of the trailer.
Well, actually, with the trailer, at least the initial ones, they didn't really give away what type of film it really was. The trailers I saw in the theater,
Hmm.
it gave the idea that it was like a dark film, but not what it ended up being. I got to give them props to that. Like it was going to be this odd kind of dinner movie of sorts, but none of the trailers, I think, really gave away what the movie actually was going to be until after it came out.
Yeah.
Which is kind of why another reason why it kind of turned me, why I wasn't that anxious to see it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Anya Taylor Joy. I mean, I'll watch her
Hmm.
in anything. Last Night in Soho is one of my recent favorite films.
Yeah, I loved her
Uh,
in that one.
oh, so good, so good, and that soundtrack to it.
Hmm.
Um, I've got that on vinyl. I've listened
Oh,
to it multiple times. Oh yeah, it's
nice.
and the fact she's singing it herself, the songs, that song, that rendition of Downtown is just
Oh, I didn't
haunting.
know that.
Yeah, she sang when she sang in the movie. That was her. Apparently, she has a small singing career. I think she's got an album or two out, maybe, or she did an album with. I think it. Who was it with? Was it? It was I forgot who the other artist was, but I think she did an album with like. It wasn't. It wasn't Bradley. Maybe it was Bradley Cooper. I don't
Hmm.
remember offhand, but yeah, she sang that, and she sang that haunting. So seeing her in this, and especially for what her character ended up being, um, who her character actually was, I loved
Mhm.
that even more than you know. With the ensemble cast they have, I thought, yeah, uh,
Yeah,
she.
I mean, I didn't know like who many of the actors were, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt if
No,
you.
no, 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 no. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean it was a great cast. It's just I didn't really recognize too many people other than Ralph Fiennes, Anya, and John Leguizamo.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I feel I should know who everyone else is, but I don't.
John Leguizamo is great. I like him almost more as a semi-serious actor than his comedy stuff. I mean, he's funny, but like you see him in John Wick and in here, and he's been in a couple. Violent Night. Um, you know, yeah, I really like his a little bit more serious stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, he's a good actor. It's just it's hard not to remember him to a degree as that annoying guy from The Pest.
Yeah, which they couldn't call it the pest, but it's almost like that was the movie that they're referencing when they talk to him. I mean, of Doctor Sun calling Doctor Sunshine, I think that was.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, but it's yeah. I did you enjoy it? Because it surprised me so, and I really enjoyed it. I like quirky films, but.
Yeah, I mean, I really liked it, and I like how it turned out to be something entirely different from what I thought
Hmm.
it was going to be. I mean, I do like those dark comedic tones. It's serious, but it's not too heavy, which I think is a good balance. Sometimes you get a film where it's too heavy, and then it just feels like work watching the film, even though it's a good movie, or
Hmm.
you have those off moments where the dark comedy just doesn't really work and then it ruins the film experience. But this one I think worked out really well.
Yeah, I think so too. Ralph Fiennes is fantastic in this.
Hmm.
Playing that type of character he does, and yeah, the fact that it turns around and being about class and station and all of that surprised me. I had heard hints from people who were praising the film. I was trying to avoid stuff about it when it first came out.
Yeah.
And I knew it was going to be a bit about class, but I'm like, okay, how's that going to be? How's that going to actually play out? We going to get some cannibalism in here, but
Yeah.
we, as far as we know, we don't. But it doesn't hold your hand.
No.
That's what I like. It's giving its message, it's giving its statement, but at the same time, it's not laying everything out. You don't have huge monologues,
Hmm.
and that just seemed like out of the blue. You know, I think my most surprising meal was a Man's Folly, the one where the guys have to run.
Oh yeah.
That that one, and the chef talks about how he tried to have sex with one of his workers a couple of times, and
Hmm.
that that whole sequence was a surprise. I'm like, wow, okay, so this is the point where you turn the chef into not a great guy.
Well, I think it's kind of understood before then because I think
Mhm.
the third course was where the one kitchen staff killed himself, and I forget
Right.
what meal that one was, but I don't really remember like the names of each courses, but I do like how it goes through and it gives the description of what the meal was and what it consists of, even though I'm not like a foodie
Yeah.
myself, like not that bad, but I can see how people that really are into food and cuisine and cooking, they would probably appreciate it more because of that.
Yeah, I love food. Um, and I thought that was just a nice touch where they show it. The one I think with the guy gets shot is called The Mess, which
Yeah.
is you know, which is funny because by the time you get to that, when they're laying the plastic on the floor and they call it The Mess, I'm like, I kind of see where this one's going, but wasn't quite sure who was going to end up dead on the floor. Um,
Yeah.
so he crushes that one guy's dreams and basically makes him commit suicide, which it's like, wow, okay.
But nobody ever commented whether or not the planned dish was good or not, which I mean that kind of would have hinted whether or not he was actually good at what he did.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it would have been nice to have a little bit of feedback on that, but uh yeah, I mean the cast of characters they have it almost is kind of like a murder mystery of sorts in a way,
Mhm.
with our different variety of folks. Each one has a sin um to them, and yeah, it just makes it. I was trying to piece together though what finally set the chef off to pick this particular time to do what he did.
Mhm.
I'm wondering if he was going to get fired.
I think it was because he had lost his restaurant and he had signed it over to the guy that he wound up drowning.
Right. But he had my impression was that he had owned the restaurant for quite some time, or was it a recent acquisition? It wasn't quite clear if it was just a recent acquisition or not. According to the way the photos were, it almost looked like he was hired for their um and he'd been working with this guy for a while, but because he mentions 8 months, so
Mhm.
it's hard to say how long the I don't think they even mentioned how long the restaurant was in service. Um,
No, I don't think it did.
but the impression it was for a while. It was at least 10. It might have been. I think it was like 10 years because the food critic had first been there, and she was the one that put the restaurant on the map. But you're right. It might have been being sold, but I got the impression almost that owner had been around for a while, and maybe the chef just got fed up because his workers were cult. I mean, this is a cult on this island.
Yeah.
For the way they acted and everything, it was like, wow, they're committed. This is a cult.
Yeah, it's everybody had the Kool-Aid that day.
They must have. And that's what I like is they don't give like a flashback of him giving a speech to his his crew of why they're just blindly following him to their inevitable death. Um, and I like that. I like that they give some mystery of what exactly motivated him. What was the breaking point for the chef?
Mhm.
Uh, what was it that now he was finally fed up? Um, you
Yeah,
know,
it didn't really say other than he just over the years lost his passion for what he does.
right?
And apparently that's his motive for killing people that I guess added to it over the years.
Yeah, that's at least the one thing is that he almost missed making food. He did miss, not almost, but he did miss making food for the joy of making food. He was constantly forced to come up with new and extravagant meals
Mhm.
or courses because of the clientele and to keep coming back. And he probably got pressure from the owner too to
Mhm.
keep keep coming up with original stuff. And I just loved the solution. I loved how she put it together and how making a basic cheeseburger saved her life.
Yeah.
It looked like a good burger too. That made me hungry. The whole movie made me hungry.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's funny because when the film had initially been recommended to me, um, they said, "Yeah, I want to have like a nice burger with me while I watch the film." And my first thought was, "Oh, they were having fun, like because the dishes are
yeah.
so skimpy." And then I saw the burger at the end, and I'm like, "Haha, I get it."
Never work. Never. I think it builds a new appreciation for the simple cheeseburger, is what it does.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who are enthusiastic about just burgers in general, and I
Mhm.
never understood it. I'm more of a pizza person myself, but
Ah, pineapple on pizza? Yes or no?
no.
No? Oh,
I tried it, I couldn't
yeah.
do it. So yeah, I gave it a chance. I couldn't do it. I even picked them off and it still tasted like pineapple. I'm like, never again.
See, I love my Hawaiian pizza, but I can understand it. I think the only thing I don't really care for in pizza is anchovies. I'll eat just about anything else on a pizza,
I've
but
never tried anchovies and I'm kind of
mm,
afraid to because if I order it and don't like it, then it's a waste of food.
yeah, yeah, it's one of those where if you could go to a specialty place and just order one piece or one slice or just a very small, like a little 9-inch one.
Yeah.
Um, but what you got a favorite pizza?
I don't think they make it anymore. There was one from Papa John's. They had one. It was called Chicken Club.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that one's good.
Hmm.
Yeah, here in Wisconsin, we've got a number of pizza places. It's actually quite big, and we've got a specialty pizza place called Politos,
Mm.
um, and they make a variety of different pizzas. You always have your choice of like 8 or 10 different types of pizzas that are out that you can buy by the slice. Like they
Oh,
got
nice.
macaroni pizza,
Ooh.
they've got feta cheese and tomato pizza. My wife really likes that one. I usually get there's a steak and fries one,
Oh, wow.
a barbecue chicken, Philly cheesesteak pizza. Yeah, they've got all varieties of different combinations of pizzas that you can get, and your basic ones too, cheese and pepperoni. But
Yeah, I've had barbecue pizza, like the barbecue sauce, or
hmm
there was one where instead of the marinara, they used chipotle.
oh, that sounds
And
interesting.
yeah, it wasn't bad when it was warm or cooked. Like it didn't sting at all. It hurt the next morning when you tried to eat it cold.
Yeah, I like when they use the garlic uh what is it, garlic butter or whatever, instead of marinara they use a garlic sauce.
Hmm.
um they've got that here. We've got a place called Papa Murphy's. I don't know if they've got them down by you, but Papa
Yeah.
Murphy's, yeah, they're take and bake ones. Those are pretty
Hmm.
good. I like their
Yeah.
stuffed pizzas. So
I've never tried it, but yeah, I'm familiar with them.
mm. See, now you got me talking about food. So I love food almost as much as I love movies. So,
No, I love food too. I mean, I consider myself a foodie, and people look
mhm.
at me and they're like, "You're so small," and I'm like, "That has nothing to do with enjoying food."
I was gonna say that absolutely nothing to do. Yeah, my youngest son is yeah, he can eat just about anything, and he loves food too. He has my taste for spicy foods and such. We're always trying something new, you know. Um, and yeah, I love spicy food, spicy with flavor. I don't like
Mhm.
spicy to where it just burns to burn. You're
Oh
just like,
yeah.
it's like, why? What's the point? Give me a little flavor with it, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
like I like trying those gourmet salsas. There's one that I really love. I can't remember what it's called. My brother doesn't like it because he says it's too garlicky for him. But I love the garlic.
mhm.
Oh, Mateo's is what it's called.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Has like a yellow label on it.
I I like garlic as well. We all like garlic. Usually put that powder or salt on buttered noodles and that. Um,
Hmm.
but like the different sauces. Uh, Actually, sauces. In the menu, they had the one course. I think it was the second course where there was no bread. It was
Yes,
it
I
was just
remember that.
different ingredients that usually accompany bread.
Mm-hmm.
That was the weirdest one for me. That was actually the weirdest dish, not the seafood one that was put on rocks and such. It was the no bread one. And I think what's even funnier is the table of guys who just freak out because they don't get bread.
Yeah, they actually start demanding it. I forget if they offered to pay an extra amount for it, but
Yeah, yeah. They offered they all wanted bread except their one friend who they wanted gluten free, but they wanted bread. They absolutely wanted bread. And then the one server, she was just like, no.
yeah, I like how she was stern about it. Like, we're not doing that. That's not the dish. And
Mm.
she didn't let, like the rich people push her around because they're used to, at least that's the general impression is they're used to getting their way because they have money. And I like how it was presented as, no, here you're just a regular Joe.
Yeah, they treated him like just a regular customer. Like, no, this is the menu. It's been meticulously planned out. This is what you get. This is what you paid for. This is what you get. No extra. No, no, no changes in the menu. That's why it, Anna Taylor Joy's character, I forgot, Abby, I think, or no, not Abby. I forgot her name offhand. Her character, but threw everything off because she wasn't supposed to be there.
Hmm. Well, not just that, but it's known throughout the film. She's not enjoying the dishes. She wasn't the disgruntled customer, but I know Chef wanted her to be happy about the food, same way as everyone else initially was before things went dark.
Yeah, Margot, that was her name. Well,
Uh,
that was the big thing with the chef in general, and part like you said, I think his motivation was he took very much pride in his food, even when he was making just basic burgers. He took a lot of pride in food making, and when someone didn't like it, it really like he took it personal.
yeah,
Like, and that I think was another kind of their statement and motivation, was that he was putting all this work into these meals, and there wasn't really the feeling of appreciation. Like, it was just taken for granted, um his work.
yeah. That came up during I forget what meal it was or which course it was, but the laser cut tortillas.
Yes, yes. I love that. This is the first time we're using laser cut tortillas and had pictures of people's nefarious uh, not doings, they're bad things that they did, whether it was the husband, uh who I think the laser etch, because it comes out later that the one elderly couple with the husband who knew
Hmm.
Margot, I think that was Margot supposed to be on the tortilla. I mean, you don't get a picture, it's just a faraway photo of him sitting next to a woman who wasn't his wife, but I'm almost getting the impression it was Margot on that tortilla.
It could have been because if I remember correctly, she was an escort that been hired
Mhm.
to go to the dinner with
Yep.
I don't remember the
Mhm.
lead guy's name.
Oh, Nicholas Holt's character, Tyler.
Tyler, yeah. And
Yeah.
he only hired her because the girlfriend broke up with him. So
and
he still wanted to go.
and they don't seat people by themselves. You have to come in pairs. So he
Yeah.
hires an escort, which was interesting because as a escort goes in the beginning, she doesn't give a hint that she is. You get the impression that she was a newer date, someone he just met, but you don't really get the impression she was an escort. But that's on purpose.
Hmm.
But at the same time, yeah, I really liked how she portrayed Margot. Uh, and there's a lot of subtle things in this film. This film doesn't like do too much hammer banging, I think, on your head. Like, hey, look at this. They let you kind of ease you into things and let you deduce some things on your own. Um,
Yeah, I do like how it just lets you figure things out as you go instead of like you said, holding your hand and spoon feeding you the story, which that's the thing I don't like about American films. That's why I tend to lean more towards foreign because they'll let you figure things out for yourself.
yeah, and that's what's frustrating, is because I think it's just not giving your audience a lot of credit. If you go to enough movies, you can deduce some things. I mean, in all honesty, it's horror films. I was thinking about it the other day. Horror films, if you look at their core, are
Mm.
are very similar across the board. It's just how they're presenting their ideas or whatnot.
Yeah.
And there's exceptions, but there's a familiarity to them. But I think that's kind of the appeal, because when you're watching a horror film, you kind of know a little bit what to expect. Uh, Not completely predictable, because we like unpredictability in our movies, but just a comfort, that there's a bit of a formula, like, okay, this person's going to be this one. And, you know, I always like guessing who's going to be the final girl or survivor
Yeah.
of the film. That's always fun to guess, because now at times, a lot of times they'll surprise you with, nope, it's not this person. Um, you're like, oh, I was
Yeah.
pulling
I
for him.
I like it when they do that though.
Oh yeah, no, I do too. I like that as well. I'm like, okay, that's a different take, because you watch a lot of them. But the worst predictable films are the romantic comedies. I'm
Oh.
like,
Yeah,
yeah,
they're very formulary.
they're so for. But I think that's why some people who are fans of them like them, because they're kind of a comfort food, because you kind of know where it's going.
Hmm.
Um, like, I thought this film was going to end a lot.
Whoops. There go my guys.
I thought this film was going to end a lot bleaker than it was.
Hmm.
I thought almost for sure it was going to um end on a kind of this really nihilistic note, to where nobody got away.
Yeah.
So the fact that we did get a final girl, that made me happy. I was like, yay, because I hate so many horror films, especially nowadays, end nihilistically, to where, nope, all these people that you were invested in, no one survives. Nope.
It felt like it was going that way, and I that's why I appreciated more that she outsmarted him
Mm-hmm.
at the end, using his award that he held on to all these years.
Right. Did you see that? Okay, he had at least a little pride in that, and if she acknowledged and asked for something he was really good at, especially saying all of that wonderful gourmet food just was crap, and she would have sent it all back.
Yeah.
But I think it's also the fact that he realized she was, for lack of a better term, in a service occupation,
Hmm.
um, that appealed to him, that she just wanted a burger. I think he realized that, oh, this is a real person. This isn't someone who's trying to be here for status. And she realized that, yeah, if I just be and am truthful for what I like, that might get me out of this. And it does. And it was a delicious looking burger. I'm not going to
It
lie. That,
it did. It looked really good.
oh, well, especially when he made it a double. I'm like, I want that burger. I so want that burger.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't add anything extra to it like bacon, onions, nothing, just regular cheeseburger.
It was just cheeseburger, and yeah, it was delicious. Cheese and meat, and it looked good. And I
It
liked
did.
it. I liked the Tyler character. He was an odd duck, because there was extreme things going on. People getting their finger cut off, and guy blowing his head through. And Tyler is just like eating as if, like, oh yeah,
Nothing.
eh. It's like, well, he's a psychopath. Uh,
He was more caught up in being there and having the experience because he enjoyed food so much. And I don't know if he was a fan of that particular chef, but yeah, he was just more immersed in the food experience and he really didn't care what was happening to everyone else around him.
well, yeah, he was a fan, because he mentioned on how he watched his show so many times.
Oh,
And
okay.
then we find out later too that he had actually been in correspondence with the chef for like 8 months, describing things. And the guy was playing up so much like he was a cook, because he could recognize the ingredients in the chef's food, and he was an expert, and nothing really phased him until the chef made him cook something,
Yeah.
and then he sucked.
Well, that's when we realized he was a fraud the entire time. He just liked food, but he didn't
Mhm.
know how to actually make those things that he enjoyed.
Right, he was acting as if he did, but he'd never actually cooked anything in his life, and, that was another thing of a person pretending to be something they're not, and until you actually get them to do the work, and then they're just like, "Oh," and then he made him go he ended up go hang himself. I'm like, "Holy crap."
Yeah, well, he made the guy humiliate himself in front of everyone. Just, I mean,
Yeah.
talk about humble pie, but geez.
Yeah, I was wondering if Tyler was gonna make his way into the burger later, but I realized that wouldn't fit. I was waiting for cannibalism. I'm sick that way. I was waiting for some kind of cannibalism to go on. I'm like, wait, is the one guy who blew himself away in the mess? Are they gonna then cook him? What?
Oh, I think they avoided that route because they feared it would be too predictable. Like,
Yeah.
even after I finished watching this, I suggested or I recommended this film to my brother,
Hmm.
and he said the same thing. He's like, the twist is they're all cannibals, and I'm like, no.
And I'm glad they didn't go that way, but I will fully say when I saw them starting to talk about how they all lived on the island, all lived in the same, house and everything, and you kind of knew someone was going to die or get hurt or anything. I was waiting for the cannibal angle. I'm like, oh, are they cannibals? No, they're not. Okay, that's okay,
Yeah.
fine. No cannibals this time. We'll leave that to the rednecks in the woods.
No, I think the Appalachian people get enough of that. I'm sure they're even tired
Yeah.
of the stereotype.
I'm sure it's like we have animals up here that we can use for meat, folks. We don't eat people. I
It's like
remember.
we're also capable of carving very beautiful handcrafts. We can do other
Yes.
things.
I mean, the winters are long here in Wisconsin too, but we do have our share of cannibals, or have had. So uh yeah, I am glad they did go the cannibal route, though. I thought, especially the way some people talked about the statements that are made in this film, I thought for sure they were going to go to the eating the rich literally,
Yeah.
um, and they didn't. But again, I was almost angled to, like, because they had the weird silver door. I'm like, oh, are they going to get to, like, the chef is like the devil or something, or some spirit on this island that's just there to make people pay for their sins or whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, but no, it ends up his bedroom and his house looks exactly like the restaurant, which
Hmm.
was creepy.
It was a little bit weird. Yeah, I didn't even notice when she broke into Chef's house because it looked so similar. But to me, what was more surprising is the maitre d was also there, and
Yeah,
she said earlier in the film, no one's allowed in his house. So it's like, well, what are you doing here? And why are you jealous of Margot? It's like you're all going to die.
yeah, yeah. They all had to know they were going to die, and yeah, she even makes a comment of, "You're not going to replace me," and it's like, what?
Right?
But the staff themselves too seem to have gone a little off the rails. I mean, even though she knows she was probably going to die, she still didn't want to be replaced, and that was because she was supposed to get the barrel from the smokehouse, but
Ah,
she didn't. So Margot was sent by the chef to go get the barrel from the smokehouse, and that's where I think it comes in, where the maitre d', she was like, "You're not going to replace me," is because Margot was sent instead of the maitre d' to go get the barrel, which was her responsibility. So even though they're going to die at the end, they're still doing their duty, which is another statement about all of us folks. Because my day job is customer service,
yeah.
working IT. Another statement of, yep, even if we're going to die, we still have a job to do, and we don't want to be replaced.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you get that even with the like grocery stores with the self checkout and all of this. I mean, there
Mhm.
was resistance in the beginning. I've even heard customers that complained, "You're taking people's jobs away." And I'm like, you just want someone to wait on you, or you can't figure out
Yeah.
how to use the machine, either of the two.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's part of the reason for the self checkout, and especially during COVID, you've seen a more increase in the self checkout was because they had trouble staffing, actual aisles for with people
Mhm.
to work the conveyor belts and such at grocery stores. So you do the self checkout because that way you don't have to worry about trying to hire more people. And it's just basically an express lane. I mean, that that's what self checkout is express lanes. And those are, especially on a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon, those are constantly full. It's
Yeah.
like, even if they have like 5 or 6 lanes open where people can check you out, there's still most people are going to the self checkout. You know,
Yeah. I prefer self-checkout. It feels quicker to me, especially
Mhm.
because you rarely get people there with a full basket, but
Right?
I used to work at a department store, so I'm like, I know how to scan stuff. I'm not just standing there with the gun trying to figure out how to use it.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't work in there, but I did work in a bookstore, so
Yeah.
had to scan stuff there as well. And then I worked McDonald's, so I worked food service. Uh,
Yeah.
Even though I swore I would never work at McDonald's, I ended up working at McDonald's. Um, because they were the only ones that were going to immediately hire a college kid. This is back in
Uh,
college for the summer. They did seasonal work, and so when I went back home to Milwaukee, I my mother said, "You're going to get a job for the summer." I'm like, okay. So McDonald's hired me because they knew I'd only be seasonal, and then the next summer they just immediately hired me back. So yeah, I worked McDonald's for 3 summers and 1 full year when I was up here. So
that's not too bad.
no, it was an experience. It wasn't that for me, it wasn't that bad of a job. I mean, your job is what you kind of make it in a lot of places. I mean, it was once you got the routine down, it was basic work.
Hmm.
I mean, not ideal, but at the same time, I didn't think McDonald's was, crap work
Hmm.
either. It was just a job, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
So you probably also have the appreciation for the cheeseburger.
I do. I have made lots of cheese, especially when I worked the grill. Made lots of cheese. Of course, this was back when we had the holding bin to where they didn't make everything fresh. So
Ah,
you'd make up like a bunch of burgers during the lunch hour, and then it would go into the hot holding bin basically, and then people could just grab the sandwich out of the bin for the order. So that's how old I am, folks. I'm very old, but
no,
no,
I
not
think I
very old.
remember those. Later on, they would kind of send the stuff down chutes, and the boxes were color
Yep.
coded.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. That's wrappers and boxes were color coded, and you just send them down a chute, and it was basically under a heat lamp for a certain amount of time, and then you put little time indicators on there so you knew how long that food had been there. Uh, and that was a great part when you worked at McDonald's at the end of the night. If you worked closing shift, which is what I always did,
Hmm.
if there was food left over, if it wasn't that old, you could take it home.
Nice.
So I took so many pies home because they always made, and then when they used to do fajitas, used to take fajitas home. Um, yeah, occasionally it would be like chicken sandwiches or something. Um, but yeah, and then because since it working close shift and I didn't have a day job during the summer, I would sleep in. So I'd be like 1 in the morning eating a McDonald's apple pie and chicken sandwich, watching horror movies. They're like, this is good. Go. And then sleep till like noon. I miss those days.
It's funny to say, but that sounds like the good life to me.
I didn't appreciate just how wonderful of a life that was until I got older. Then I'm like, wow, that was actually pretty sweet.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's why I chuckled when in the menu when they show a picture of him working fast food. I did not expect that for the chef
Hmm.
to having worked the burger grill and be employee of the month for the burger grill.
Well, no, I like that because it brings back to his roots, and it's like, well, he wasn't always some hot shot. So I like how they grounded him, but you also know, hey, he was a real person and it
Mhm.
makes it, I think, more credible why he became disenchanted with people that just demand, 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 but they don't appreciate. Like that older couple, I think he said they'd eaten there 8 years and over the years. They'd had 8 meals and they couldn't even remember a single one that they'd had there.
Right. Yeah, they didn't. They were. He's making these wonderfully crafted, put a lot of effort in meals, and nobody's remembering the courses that they ate ever. Um, and even, and then there's the food critic who uh made she made one little critique. It's a very fancy, beautiful
Oh
meal,
yeah.
but she made the one critique that was with the no bread uh serving, um, where there was a separation, and they mentioned a little crack, and so it
Yes.
was like after that they kept every course bringing more of it. It's all separated. Well, here you go. Here's more separation for you.
Yeah, I like how they kind of just threw that in her face, like, we heard you. We're gonna
Well, that
rub your nose in the dirt a little for that.
well, that was an interesting angle too. The fact that he heard everything, you know, and that statement of people, when they speak about you, thinking you're not hearing it, but they're talking about you.
Yeah.
And the chef definitely has some good ears on this. So yeah, it was just one of those things where I love the setting because yeah, it pretty much takes place in one spot. So it's kind of like it's an indie film approach
Hmm.
in that respect, to where you don't have a lot of locations. Um,
Um, I think it was treated that way. It was put out by Fox Searchlight Pictures.
Searchlight, yeah. So I actually like a lot of stuff that, well, no, no, don't call it Fox Searchlight anymore. It's just Searchlight Pictures. The
Ah,
House
it
of
was
Mouse is going to come after you.
it was Fox back then. It's still Fox to me.
Me too. Actually, I had that same thought when Searchlight, when they did the little opening bumper for Searchlight, with the fanfare. I'm like, it's still Fox Searchlight. They just removed Fox from the top, but it's still Fox Searchlight for me.
Yeah.
It's still 20th Century Fox. 20th Century Studio just doesn't roll right for me.
It's just weird, but I remember asking some months back on my social media, I'm like, is Fox Searchlight still a thing? Because I was watching something and it had old trailers and it mentioned that, and I'm like, yeah, I remember you. I don't see you around as much anymore.
There's not nearly, ever since Disney bought them, there's not nearly as much Fox Searchlight stuff. I read somewhere where they had thought about phasing it out, possibly, I think, but
Oh,
they
that
didn't.
sucks.
But definitely scaled back, because once Disney bought Fox, they just cut so much. They made so much unavailable anymore, and it's like, oh, come on. That's why I got my physical media. So I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
just go grab my disc.
Yeah, I still have tons, but I'm trying to thin them out because I own way too much.
It can become a problem. Yeah, I'm not quite there yet, but I've still got some shelf space, so I'm good. But
Yeah, I
um
mean, I love my stuff, but it's one of those issues where if I'm filling up most of a self storage with just boxes of DVDs, it's like, okay, some of these have to go.
yeah, I know eventually I've got to start curating some of my stuff, seeing what I really want to keep and what I don't. So I'm not there yet, though. I'm not there yet. So
Yeah, I mean, I never thought I'd be there. I was so, and I still am. I'm like so proud of my movie collection, and I love to walk through the stacks of stuff, and it's my own little personal library. And I don't know if you feel this way too, but I dislike it when people refer to my collection as my own personal blockbuster.
I don't mind that too much, considering my stuff is sitting on a family video shelf. But yeah, it's just it's a collection. It's I you see so much complaints about people. Oh, this film now is no longer on streaming. How am I going to watch it or whatnot? You're like,
Yeah,
and even now, these are the older cases. You can get thin cases, and in fact, Dawn, she gets thin cases for her DVDs, that are they're half the size of these, so she
yeah,
can have the shelf space, and then she just takes the insert out and puts it in the thinner case, and that works out really well. I mean, so I don't know. I'm a big physical media guy. Though I watched the menu on, I had to check to make sure I didn't happen to buy the menu ahead of time before I went and rented it on streaming. I've got to do that now because there's been a couple times where I've rented something on streaming, then I go downstairs on my shelf and I go, "Oh, I had that movie." Okay,
Yeah, I've done that where I'll buy a digital copy of a movie and then I'm like, there's my box. Hello.
well, for me, buck and a quarter Dollar Tree is evil because I'll go through their stack like once a month or two, and I'll get a few, and then I'm like, okay, and then I'll get home and go, let's play the which ones are duplicate game because I forget which ones I bought at Dollar Tree, and yeah, I got a few duplicates.
I'm not too bad about that. I think I've only done it maybe once or twice, but
Mm.
if it's a situation where I have my whole collection out, um, I'm better at not duplicating because I like to go through and I'm like, well, what movie do I want to watch today? So I'm always looking at
Oh,
what's
sure,
there.
yeah. So you're always looking at it, yeah. Yeah, I've got some to where I've got it on VHS and DVD. So, and Laserdisc. So I've got some Laserdiscs as well. Uh, but I like my movies. So
Yeah. I mean, I loved my physical copies. It's just I don't have like a permanent place I can call home. So it's in the meantime, it's kind of like it's gonna hurt letting go of some of this stuff, but I have to.
yeah, so you keep the ones that you know for sure you'll probably come back to and whatnot, and the rest you can donate or sell there because there's other collectors out there looking. So
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
I think it'll be pretty easy for me because I love to watch like those really bad B flicks or those really horrible movies.
oh
And
yeah.
I already know, okay, a good chunk of those are going to go first.
We all love our bad films. I've got probably within arm's reach here many a bad film that I enjoy watching, and
Yeah.
I will defend Maximum Overdrive till I'm in a nursing home. Even when I'm in a nursing home, I will watch that movie and I will defend that film.
I don't consider that one a bad one. I like that one.
Me neither, but everybody, including its director, think there's a lot of people who think it's horrible, and I'm like, oh, what are you talking about? The film is awesome. You know,
It's fun,
it is so much fun. You know,
especially the Coke dispenser chucking cans at
oh,
people.
that's my favorite. That's my favorite sequence. I love that it's a soda dispenser killing people. I'm like, that's death by vending machine. That's awesome. You know, uh, yeah, I love I love that movie. So I watched it 31 days in a row once for 31 days of horror.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I finally got the and then after I did that, actually surprisingly, Walmart offered a steel book, I think it is.
Oh,
I've got it on my shelf over there of Maximum Overdrive on Blu-ray. So I picked that up. I gotta watch it yet. I still haven't. I have so many things that I haven't watched yet. Uh, I have them. I just haven't got a chance to look at them. Uh,
yeah.
but yeah, I'm glad I got to see the menu. It's one that I could see myself watching again, just because I like odd films so much, and
Hmm.
Anna Taylor-Joy watching anything. I like Nicholas Hoult as well. I've always liked him since Mad Max Fury Road. So
Ah, okay.
uh, that's where I first knew of him. Um, and I thought he was really good. One of the two folks in there, Judith Light, was there. I'm a kid of the '80s, so I recognized Judith Light. I was like, oh, cool. Uh,
See, I didn't know who she was. I'm like, and that's what I was saying earlier. It's like I feel like
sure.
I should know who these people are, but I don't.
It was a group of folks that you don't know until you IMDb them, and then you're like, oh, okay, I know that person. Okay, yeah, I've seen that. Um, so I love that. I'd eat at that restaurant. That's the whole thing. I'm looking at like the stuff that he was serving outside of
Hmm.
the killing, obviously, outside of the
And the
killing
suicide.
and the suicide. Outside of that, I would eat at that restaurant. I would save up money like for a year so I could eat at that place because I just like the restaurant itself. I thought that was a really cool concept with the the kitchen in view of the folks in the dining room.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, see now the movie and talking about it just made me hungry, and I just had lunch before the show too. So,
I had breakfast.
mm. See, I had Taco Bell. I made a run to the border. So
Yeah.
Taco Bell is my vice. So
No, I love Taco Bell. I just don't like all the jokes people make about it, about how the after effects.
I don't get that. I'm like, wow. I mean, either I've got a very strong constitution or I've just abused my gut so much over the years. But I'm like, you know, it's like, why do you say that? Taco Bell. And it turns out Taco Bell has one of the healthier menus out of all the fast food joints.
Yeah,
So
it's not deep fried.
no, it's not deep fried. You can actually get decent healthy menu options off of there when you get to like their energy bowl and that.
Mm-hmm.
It's all good stuff. Black bean tacos and all of that. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
I
used to eat there all the time until they got rid of my favorite one. I loved their smothered burrito.
oh, yeah. Though I'm glad they made the grilled cheese burrito regular menu option. And right now they're doing a bacon grilled cheese burrito. Oh my god, it's so good. So good. I
Oh,
shouldn't be eating it, but I am because it's so good.
well, I love their box deals. Those are a good bargain.
Oh yeah, those the like the $5 craving boxes, they actually fill you up. They give you quite a bit in there. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. See, the menu was all a plot to make a movie that instills your hunger. So
It probably was. The portions are so skimpy, but they look really good.
they did, especially when he got to uh, uh the the man's folly or whatever with the
Oh yeah,
scissors which was stuck in the meat. I'm like, oh, that meat looks so good.
it was a cute little garnish.
It was a cute little garnish.
And then all the women are sitting around just complaining about their men.
Yeah. I like that segment, and the guys were trying to hide, and then he had the one guy hiding in the chicken coop, and he was given a little dessert saying, here you go, the last person found gets this, and he's like,
Oh, the guy that just hands his coat over to the wife and takes off running.
yeah, yeah. He's like, here you go, gone. uh, I thought they were going to kill him when they were out in the woods. But they
I
just brought him back, so that was good.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it would have been kind of like one of those what's the name of that old movie? It's not called Hunting Humans.
You talk the most dangerous game?
Yes, that one.
Yeah. Hmm. That's been done a number of times. I've watched a couple indie films that have been a variation of that. It's always an interesting story to do.
Well, you
Uh,
also had Van Damme's version of it called Hard Target.
yes, yeah, you had Hard Target. Uh, Always down for a Van Damme film.
They're fun. I don't know how I feel about Mullet Van Damme, but they're fun movies.
Mullet Van Damme. Was it? What was that one where he was a twin?
Oh yeah,
Uh,
Double
uh,
Take.
Double Take. That's what it was. Yeah. Oh man.
The only difference is one had slicked hair and the other one had regular hair.
Yeah, yeah. That was about the only difference between them. There wasn't really much difference in personality. We talked about was it The Quest, one of his earlier films, canon
Oh,
film.
I like that
Uh,
one.
that one's fun. That one was a lot of fun. Yeah. Some early Van Damme. He can't go wrong. Van Damme was fun. He's so much fun in his films. Though they shouldn't really slow mo him because, like in Bloodsport, like when he'd get really intense, it just looked so funny. You
I
couldn't
could
help
totally see the scene you were describing.
when he hits someone, he just his mouth and his his veins are all sticking. It's hilarious. It's not, I don't know if it's supposed to be kind of that way, but it's just hilarious. Makes me laugh all the time when I see that.
But he also, I don't know if it's him or the producers, they also seem to be a fan of the kick replay where they'll just show the same scene twice after he's already hit the guy the first time.
Oh yeah, you got to show that kick, that impressive kick, like 3 or 4 times at least. At least. Oh, we do it. We do have someone in the chat. Cool.
Oh, yikes! Sorry.
Oh.
Let's see. The trailer for Maximum Overdrive was so funny. Stephen King says, "I'm going to scare the hell out of you." His face. What?
Yep.
His face.
It's bathed in green light.
Bathed
Yeah.
in green light. Yeah, and his pointing finger at the camera.
Yeah, that they actually used that, I think, on one of the posters too, with him looking like that. And you had kind of the Green Goblin in the background of sorts. He's like, yeah, you could tell he's just coked out of his mind. I think it was coked even for the trailer. He looks so manic. It's beautiful. I love
80s
that.
King.
80s King. Oh yeah, some of his best writing, where he could write an entire like 800-page book in 3 days
And not remember it.
and not remember it. Yeah,
That is funny. Not ha funny, but it's funny.
no, it's funny, but I mean, those books were fun. You know, I read a few of his books, usually because they had movies coming out. So I read the books before the movies, though I still never got through Dark Half. Dark Half is just such a commitment. Or I'm not Dark Half, The Stand. I got through Dark Half. Dark Half was a good book, but The Stand is such a commitment to read.
Yeah, I read The Stand when I was a kid. It took me about 6 months to get through it.
That's a heavy, wordy book. That takes a while to get through. I said, I got through Firestarter, and I did Needful Things was pretty long. I really enjoyed Needful Things.
Yeah, a lot of those I'd have to reread. I don't remember them so well. I liked Firestarter, but I don't remember the story other than it was government testing on the parents, and then you had these super kids that resulted.
Yeah. Yeah, a Firestarter is a breezy read. And the movie was good too, with the very young Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, Cujo was actually was also a fast read. I think I got through that one in a week.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty small book.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the bigger books. I don't read a lot anymore, but when I used to a lot when I was a teenager and a kid and I didn't mind thicker books, but yeah, it was just The Stand I've tried. And I know they've revised that a number of times. He would update it for some of the references, like fast food places or locations in that. They revised it a few times, if I remember correctly, so he could kind of update some of the stuff in it.
No, I didn't know about that. One of my favorite references in The Stand is where it's super random, where Stephen King is talking about how Oliver and Company had never been distributed on VHS, and at that point it never had been.
Yeah. Yeah. That would I remember reading up to that part, I think. But yeah, it's King is fun. I mean, I read the Pulse, which they later did a movie version of with Cusack and Sam Jackson, I think it was. Unfortunately, the movie was way different a lot of ways than the book. The book was far better in that case. It wasn't a bad movie, but
I don't think I read that one. The last one I read was Cell, and then after that I stopped collecting King books just because of space.
Cell was it? The Cell, with the smartphone.
Phone.
Yeah. Sorry, Cell was the last one. Yeah, that was the last one I read too. Not Pulse. It was Cell. And the movie was different than the book by quite a bit, unfortunately. Because I really dug the book. The book was really interesting.
The book was good. I haven't seen the movie yet.
Yeah, you're not missing much. It's outside of the concept of the smartphone turning people into the violent zombies of sorts. The rest of the film really is not. You could tell they didn't have a huge really budget behind it. I mean, yeah, they got Cusack and Jackson, Sam Jackson, but They'll do just about any movie. So
Yeah.
either big or small. Not saying it's a bad thing, but um,
No, it's in my digital library. I've just never watched it. That's bad when you own so many movies, but I haven't put a dent in most of what I own as far as watching it.
yeah, when I retire, I've got plenty to watch. So if the streaming services are dead by then, I've got plenty to watch when I retire. So I'll be
Yeah.
watching like 3 or 4 movies every day. I'll just be rotating. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I mean that's why eventually stopped buying movies is I realized, oh, you know what? I could watch this movie, and this movie that I've never seen, and then it's like, you know what? You can actually film a video review after about it when you're done. So I probably have like over a year's worth of stuff that I can use.
Yeah, I got a good few years of viewing material here. So uh, when I win that lottery, that's how I'll spend my days. I'll just watch a lot of movies.
Yeah,
Which isn't a bad way to spend your time. And eat food, of course. Um,
yeah, the best
but
part.
the best part. But that's one of those things to where even if I had won the lottery or if I had got a lot of money, I'd still eat at Taco Bell. I fully.
Oh, let me see. Slipknot was saying the stand was brilliant. I thought Jamie Sheridan was great as Randall Flagg.
Yeah, yeah. If I remember that version, because they've done the stand a couple of times, I think on.
It's been remade, but I've never watched. I've only seen the original one. I've never seen the newer one.
Yeah, I have. I saw the original miniseries when they put it on TV. Back in where was it? It was
Oh.
before 2020. They did it earlier.
Oh, okay. I was thinking the first one, the 90s one, which
The
was
90s one. Yep.
93, 94, I
Hmm.
think.
Yep. It was 94. I watched that. I remember when it was a series, and that had a really good cast to it. And that's the one that I think Slipknot is referring to is uh, the one from the 90s with Jamie Sheridan that had Ossie Davis in it, that had Gary Sinise,
Hmm.
I think, in it. And I remember that was a big event thing when they did mini series. Now
Yeah,
you
I
just
loved those.
now you just call it streaming series, but back then it was like,
Well,
uh,
miniseries was kind of like, what do you say, the second wave of TV films. TV films were a big deal in the 70s when they first started.
yeah, yeah, it was TV films, and then they did mini series. What I think the first show I remember being very popular as a mini series was V when I was a kid. Um, that's a wonderful sci-fi show. Did you ever see V?
I still haven't seen it. I haven't
Oh.
even seen Roots or North and South.
V was really good. Good old sci-fi film about fascism. It's really it's it was so good. Robert England out of makeup, kind of. Um, and that the show wasn't really great, but the sequel, V: The Return, was pretty decent too. But that was the first miniseries I remember watching was V. Um, yeah, with Rob Lowe, yeah, the '90s version of The Stand with Rob Lowe in there as well. They had like everybody in that miniseries. It was really good though. I liked the '90s version of The Stand. I don't think
Hmm.
I watched the 2020 version,
I haven't
but
seen it yet. I forget if that's the one with Jennifer. Is it Jennifer Heard?
I
Somebody
think
heard.
so. Yeah.
Somebody heard.
Somebody heard one of the herds. But yeah, Jamie Sheridan was Randall Flagg. He was creepy. He was cool. And
Oh
that
yeah,
show was done well.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
and Rob.
'90s version with Rob Lowe.
Mhm.
He also did the Salem's Lot, the
Yep.
miniseries
Hmm.
do over,
Yeah,
which
Salem's Lot.
I didn't complain about because he's nice to look at. The series probably, but
But Rob Lowe, hey,
I'll watch it just for that.
Watch it for Rob Lowe. Yeah. Uh, he is an attractive man. Yes, let's see, he was in West Wing, I believe. He was really good in that too. But that TV drama was really good. Um, but yeah, there was also, remember when they did Tommy Knockers?
Ooh, I didn't like that one as much. I like it started
I
off really good and then it just kind of went weird.
I didn't like that one either because they were working on a limited budget and it showed so much. It was
Hmm.
just like I can't commit
Well,
myself to this long, you know.
Langoliers was even worse.
Yeah. Oh no, Langoliers. That's what it was. Yeah, the Langoliers. That's what the series was. Not Tommy Knockers. I don't think they did a series of Tommy Knockers, but
Uh,
Langoliers.
they did, I think. Yeah.
Oh, did they? They've done everything. It's hard to keep track nowadays. But yeah, the
Yeah.
Langoliers, that's what it was. That one came out and I watched that, but I wasn't really into it. But I hadn't read the book for it either. But that series just I didn't feel it was that good. Um uh but
Well, I
yeah.
think it's the sci-fi that hurt it. The sci-fi, the CG that hurt Langolier.
Yes. Yeah, the CG, that's what it was that took me out of it was the CG. It was just like, no, that's just just it's so TV budget. It's like, no, I can't. It just not good.
Oh,
Oh,
let's see. There were some good songs from The Stand. It had Blue Oyster Cult's "Don't Fear the Reaper" and ZZ Top's "Sharp Dressed Man." Yeah, I think that's where I discovered Blue Oyster Cult. Actually,
hmm, really? Uh, yeah, this the stand has a good soundtrack. Always love those two tracks for sure, especially Don't Fear the Reaper,
yeah,
which also I think was featured on the Frighteners soundtrack.
yes.
So Frighteners is so good. I love the Frighteners.
I think that's where my appreciation of older music comes from, is watching these movies and miniseries, because I got introduced to a lot of music I wouldn't have have
Known about, yeah.
even known about. Yeah, as a kid.
Oh yeah, no, that's why I loved when they did Guardians of the Galaxy. I loved the fact that those soundtracks for those three films took off because it like introduced all these really great older songs to a younger folks who
Yeah,
weren't around when they first came out, and suddenly they're like, "Oh, this song's great!" I'm like, "Yeah, check this out.
yeah, and
This
like
is
not
good."
all old stuff was boring.
Nope, nope.
Like I what was it? I love that intro. Was it Redbone where he's singing with the rat as a microphone?
Yes, yeah, yeah. The in the first one, yeah, he and then the second one opened with one of my all-time favorite songs was Mr. Blue Sky from Bachman Turner Overdrive.
Hmm.
I think it was. No, not Bachman Turner Overdrive. Oh, geez, I'm just sucking today. Um, it was Electric Light Orchestra. Excuse me.
Oh, okay.
Electric
No,
Light Orchestra did Mr. Blue Sky, and that's what the song opened in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and I love that song quite a bit.
no. I'd have to go back and listen to it. You said Blue Sky, and my first thought was The Wall.
Oh yeah, there's that one too. Yeah, yeah. Or Willie Nelson, because my dad and mother listened to a lot of country. So my
Mm.
dad, especially old country. I don't mind old country. New country I can't really listen to, but I'll listen to the twangy old country. But
Yeah, I like the older country, like gosh, I can't even remember, but I know you did recently the that talk about I
oh,
saw
Hank
the light.
Williams, yeah, Hank Williams Sr. Yeah,
Yeah.
Hank Williams Sr. stuff. You know, Willie Nelson, Merle Haggard, all those kind of older school.
Yeah,
Uh,
I like that stuff. The newest that I will go is up to the 2000s country, when it was like country pop, but
mhm.
yeah, don't make me listen to the newer stuff. I don't like it.
There's one or two tracks that are good, but yeah, there was. I remember my father loved. He had it on 45. It was called Seven Spanish Angels,
Mm.
and Seven Spanish Angels, if I remember, it was done by the Highwaymen, I think they were called. Um, and the reason I always love it is because, uh, yeah, it was Seven Spanish Angels, Willie Nelson, Ray Charles. Oh, I forgot who else was all on it. But it was initially a duet between Willie Nelson and Ray Charles, but they also had some other known Southern singers on it on the 45 version that he had, and it was really good. That one, it just was an odd pairing to have Ray Charles and Willie Nelson singing a song together. But older country is definitely bluesy. I mean, newer stuff is too, but it definitely the older stuff
Yeah.
got its kind of origins a bit from the blues. So
Yeah, I mean, I
um,
like the bluegrass stuff too. That stuff's good.
bluegrass is good. There's some really cool folks and talented folks doing bluegrass stuff. I always like when they cover like rock
Oh.
versions with bluegrass. Um, there was on YouTube, I found a couple to where there were some Metallica covers, but it's done with a bluegrass band. Uh,
Hmm.
like I think they're also covering like ACDC. I think there's one bluegrass country band out there that did like Thunderstruck. I think it was.
Oh, okay. Wow.
uh, yeah, Steve and Seagulls. Uh, Steven Seagulls did does a cover of Thunderstruck on banjo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
That sounds like it would be hard to pull off.
Yeah, well, they pull it off though. It's really good. It's I always look for strange covers of songs. Always interesting to hear people's interpretation.
Hmm.
But uh, yeah, older country though is if I'm going to listen to it, I'll listen to that stuff. I can't. Tried to turn on new. I ran across a new country station once while spinning through the radio dial, and I was just like, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm, I just can't.
Yeah, the newer stuff I just but I don't want to be one of those people that I'm trapped or stuck in my time either.
Right. Yeah. And I'm not either. I mean, I like stuff all the way from way early on to there's some stuff today that I like too. It's you shouldn't limit yourself. Either in music, whatever, books, movies,
Yeah.
especially movies. Always movies. It's always frustrating when people say, "Well, I won't watch such and such past this year," and I'm like,
No, I
"Come
don't do
on!"
that.
It's like,
Like
"Come on!"
if we're talking about going past a certain year, then usually I'll switch over to like a different type of cinema. Like
Mm,
I don't like modern American film. Like I make some exceptions like The Menu. I thought that was great. Like I love
right.
independent film. I'll always watch B films, but when it comes to like watching mainstream, which it's not doing it for me these days, so I usually prefer to go the foreign route or the indie route,
Mm.
but I'll still watch new stuff that way.
Foreign stuff has been wild, especially like the discovery of Hindi cinema and Bollywood and that.
Oh yeah.
Some of that stuff's crazy. Like RRR, it ended up being one of my favorite movies.
I
And then,
haven't seen that yet.
I mean, it's 3 hours. A lot of the Bollywood and in Hindi movies and such are long, but
Yeah.
some of them, especially like their action ones, are so wonderfully just crazy. It reminds me of like the 80s type action films in that only on like adrenaline. Like like because they're just so amped up in some of the stuff they come up with. It's just
Hmm.
you would not see it in a Western film.
Yeah.
Um
Um,
and
yeah, I mean, Bollywood's been around for a while, but I've only just really gotten into it. But I've watched more like the love story type stuff, like Rocky
oh
and
sure.
Ronnie and stuff like that.
Mhm. Yeah, I've got a Bollywood horror film called Hiss. Um,
Oh, I love that one.
you see
Yeah,
that one?
Jennifer Lynch directed that.
Yeah, yeah. It's great. I love. It was funny. I was watching it when I first watched it. I'm watching it, going, I wonder if they're gonna have a dance sequence. I'm like, nah, it's a
And they
horror
did.
film, and they did. They
I
literally
forget
did.
what that festival is with where they
It's
throw the paint.
yeah, it's like the Festival of Colors. I forgot the what the
Yeah,
significance,
yeah, they did that one.
but they did a dance sequence in this horror movie, and I'm like, okay, sure, I'm good. That's good. I'm there
Um,
for it.
did you watch the documentary about his or
No, I didn't realize there was one
Mhm.
out there.
Despite the Gods, and it talks about all the problems they had
Mm.
behind the scenes.
No, I'll have to check that out because I really enjoy that film.
Hmm.
I watched it just for like a 31 Days of Horror, and then we watched it again for the podcast, and yeah, I enjoyed that film quite a bit. It's fun.
No, I
Um,
watched it because I went through like a snake deity phase. Like, okay, which other movies talk
ah,
about snake gods and all this other stuff?
so you watched Lair of the White Worm? No, just kidding.
Yeah, I saw that one. There was another one from Roger Corman. I can't remember what it was called now.
Slither
I think that was
or
snails or slugs.
uh, not
I can't
Slither.
remember the something woman, but anyway,
Oh, I mean not Slither. I forgot it now. So many.
I
I
can't remember. I
watch
just
way
know it
too
was the
many
something
films.
woman.
Watch way too many uh movies. They all blend together sometimes when I
After
try
a
to.
while, they do. Like if you go through months just speed watching stuff, and then if somebody asks me, okay, what did I watch last month? I'm like, I don't know.
I think the one you might be thinking of, nope, not that one.
I just know
The
the box has a blue cover on it. It's, oh gosh, I wish I could remember, but the woman transforms into a snake.
Night of the Cobra Woman.
There it is. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that was okay. Yeah, he produced it. That's right. He didn't direct it, but I think he helped produce it. Yeah, Night of the Cobra Woman. It was
Yeah,
called.
I liked that one. That one was fun. Like 70s cheese, but it was good.
And then there's another film called
Yes, I like
like
that one.
yeah.
That one's a little bit slower. Like it takes forever before you finally get to see the monster, and it's only just like a very few moments.
Yeah, yeah, that one. The snake film genre is always interesting. Watched one called Calamity of Snakes. If you get a chance to watch it,
No, I haven't seen that
um,
one, but
it's
Bollywood's also good for snake deity movies, Hindi,
mm,
Bollywood, all that stuff.
yeah. I may just talking about. I may have to seek some out now if I don't have any. I think I have some in my collection, but yeah. Calamity of Snakes is interesting. It was Japanese,
Mm.
and the story is they're building a development, a high rise, and they run across a whole den of snakes. And rather than having someone come by and safely transport them, they end up just killing the snakes.
Aw.
Well, there's other snakes, and they build the building, but the spirit of the snakes in that they're still alive. So the snakes start invading the building, and yeah, it gets really wild. So there's all kinds of stakes. There's some wonderful old school practical gore effects and there's shitty dummies. Um, but at one point, there's a martial arts fight between a martial arts expert and a huge, like, I think it's boa constrictor or anaconda. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. I'm watching this and I'm like, wait, what? And this guy is going to is fighting this huge snake, and the snake's like flying around. They're doing wire work with the snake, and it's amazing. It is so much fun. But yeah, it's called Calamity of Snakes. It's kind of part. It's got that outside of that wild sequence. It's kind of like Towering Inferno, but with snakes. So
Hmm.
instead of fire, you have just thousands of snakes attacking and killing people in
I'll
various
have to
ways.
look for that one. That one sounds like fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it quite a bit, and yeah, that's where foreign cinema, I think, really is higher than a lot of Western cinema is just because outside of the box thinking or things that
Yeah.
they come up with, especially for a while when you got into that extreme films of Japan, like was it the Meatball Machine and the
Oh, I tried
Tokyo
watching that one.
and the
It was like I don't like where people just like tend to spit or gurgle so much. Like it grosses me
uh,
out, which is funny. I can watch all these grotesque things, but spit or gurgle bothers me.
Tokyo Gore Police.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think I've got one called Vampire Woman versus Frankenstein Girl.
Oh,
Or
I like
something.
that one.
Yeah, yeah, that one was good. That one wasn't too extreme, but that one was a fun story.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, I do like that genre of film too. It's if it's just crazy and fun, it's always a good watch.
Yeah.
Let me see. I don't know if you mentioned Tetsuo.
Oh, yeah. Tetsuo, that's always a good one. Or just House. There's so many horror films called House, but
Yeah.
if you know the one we're talking, it's the one with the big cat on the cover, folks. House is one to watch. That one is a mind scramble. That one is just like wow, floating heads and evil cats, and I mean cats are evil anyway, but um,
I would probably agree. My cat gets into so many things. It's like you doo doo.
of course, that's their job. It's cats, You still love them, but they can definitely be difficult.
Yeah. She's funny though, but yeah. As
But
much
yeah,
as I like to complain about her, it's I love her.
but House is definitely. Have you seen House? The
I don't think if I have, I've only seen bits of it. I haven't seen it all the way.
Yeah, that's one that you kind of have to be in a little interesting frame of mind, but it can be a lot of fun. I mean, it's from '77, but it is such a just fanciful horror film that
Mm-hmm.
just does so many crazy things that you're like, there's not a lot of. It's a film you'd never see really come out of the West. In all honesty, you never. I think
Yeah.
I think some of the indie stuff like from Raimi and that might come close, but or some of
Um,
the stuff from Trauma, but
I mean, there was The House Where Evil Dwelled. I think that one tried.
mm,
It just wasn't
mhm.
quite there.
Yeah, yeah, it's just and maybe it's because there's so many more options in American cinema versus only so many studios in foreign cinema. Maybe that's why you don't get as much of out there films. I don't know, but it's just a different approach to stories, I think.
Yeah, but the worst thing is when people try to
Remake it. Oh yeah.
emulate or remake foreign film, and it's kind of like don't touch it. You can't even do it right. It's Westerners just don't understand the formula.
Let the Right One In tried. I thought it did all right, the remake, but it wasn't quite as good as the original. Um just like when they tried to do the girl with the dragon tattoo, and they
Hmm.
tried to do and they did the remake. I enjoyed the remake, but it still the original. There's still something about it, that original tattoo trilogy, that just you're like, yeah, you're not going to quite replicate that, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think they ever finished it. They did just
Yeah,
just
of
one.
of the US one. They did just that one. They did do the fourth book, I think, but that was a direct to video, I believe. The girl who got caught in the spider web, I think it was, or whatever. I think they made that, but it was here and gone. I think it went to streaming
Mm.
For the fourth book that they had made later on. But yeah, you don't get. I mean, we get. I think we're getting more after the whole comic book craze and that. And interesting, when COVID kicked in, we're getting more indie films on the big screen now. A24 stuff. I mean,
Which is
A20, which is good. Yeah, A24 stuff last year, all but one film I loved. So, and they released a lot last year.
yeah, I like A24. They so far I haven't seen anything that disappointed me.
Mm-hmm.
The Lobster was kind of slow. That one was kind of like, it wasn't as funny as I had hoped. It was a dark comedy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that is a dark comedy. It was all right though. I liked the quirky stuff. Lamb was different.
Hmm.
Um, I think the only one that disappointed me last year, and then maybe it was because of the hype around it, was Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
I haven't seen that.
Um, but then again, I think I'm old. I think it was made for a bit younger audience because I got all the references and everything because I have kids, uh, that it was more geared toward their age, I think. But I was like, eh. I'm like, when they give a twist at the end, and I'm just like, really?
It can't be that good when you're already saying, really? That's it.
That's what I
That's
asked
what I
myself.
waited for.
It was one of those two where I'm like, oh, so you went that route? Okay, fine. It was all right, but it was just like, yeah, you could have done more with this, and you didn't. So,
Mm.
but but other than that, I loved all the other ones they came out with last year. Men was wild.
Ooh, I haven't seen that one yet. I've been
Oh, you
wanting to.
haven't? Oh, yeah. It's slow. It's not a fast film, but it's definitely creepy, and it has one of the most wow endings that you're going to see from a movie that was released to theaters. You're just going to go, okay. It's crazy. It
Mhm.
is got a crazy ending, but I liked Men quite a bit. But yeah, A24 is putting out good stuff. So um they're putting a lot of good indie stuff. A lot of the stuff that goes direct to streaming indie stuff, some of it is not as cool as you would think it would be.
Hmm.
But yeah, I watch way too many movies, so maybe that's it.
No, I watch in my free time. Lately, I've been watching more like TV shows or reality shows more than anything. Like, I had a Hoarders marathon last night. Why? I don't know. It was the next thing that popped on YouTube.
You just can't look away from Hoarders. Those Hoarder shows. Yeah.
Well, it's always because I know I collect stuff, but I'm like my place isn't that bad. Like I can actually see my floor and I can see my kitchen.
Yeah, you think you collect a lot of stuff, then you watch a hoarding movie or a show, and you're just like, oh no, I'm not that bad. Okay, I'm good.
No,
Yeah,
I'm pretty normal. I
I don't
haven't
have.
seen a
Or,
I'm sorry.
oh, I was just gonna say, I don't have a kitchen that's just completely full of takeout containers. I'm good
Yeah.
to where
Yeah, I
it's.
mean, I've got my clutter here and there. Like I've got some stuff stacked on my stove. I've got stuff on my countertops, but I can still tell what's on there.
Exactly. You know what's there. Them hoarder ones, I look at it going, how could you, how? It's like you literally can't get in that room without stepping on a bunch of crap that's ankle deep or knee deep. How
Yeah.
how? It just.
I mean, I don't understand the disorder, but I'm like, wow, it has to really be pretty bad if people get to that point.
Yeah. Yeah. So it doesn't make me feel too bad that I've got a huge boxes of VHS in that, because they're all in on shelves or in boxes put away neatly in storage. So I'm good yet.
Yeah. Same here. It's like all of my movies, they're either on shelves or the bulk of them are in boxes, but I don't know what's in the box, but I know the box is labeled DVD, so I know what's there.
Well, there you go. There you go. Uh, oh, Slipknot.
Oh, you see, House looks interesting. There's two Korean horrors I want to see. Dead Fried, what? Dead Friend, I'm sorry.
Friend, the
AKA
ghost.
The Ghost and The Face.
I haven't seen Faced, or I don't think I've seen the Ghost, but Korean horror is always interesting.
Hmm.
That one, that also gets you out there. Again, the remakes versus Western versions are hit or miss. I think the horror ones they did all right with, um, like The Grudge and The Ring when they remade those weren't too
Yeah.
bad. Not now, mind you, not the most recent version of, was it The Grudge? No, that movie. Oh, whew. That one that came out like 2 years ago, I think it was, or was it last year?
I haven't seen
Maybe
it.
it
I
was.
I saw the first Grudge, the one with Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Right. That one was pretty decent. It was 2020 already. Wow. Time flies. 2020 The Grudge was not good. It was, and I like John Cho, but that one was not, that wasn't good. But the one, yeah, with Sarah Michelle Gellar, that one was good. They did well with that. As well as The Ring.
Hmm.
Um they also did that with REC. I love the REC trilogy from I think it's Mexico. Have you seen any of
Oh,
those? The found
no,
footage
I
series?
haven't seen those. I want to say one of the producers from that one worked on Babylon, though, if I remember
Yep.
correctly.
Hmm. Yeah, REC trilogy is really good. I thoroughly enjoyed all three of those films. Each one of them is different. Third one especially is interesting. But Quarantine was a remake of REC, and that one was actually pretty decent. Although I didn't appreciate it to where they, in REC they kind of give an origin to, they don't give an origin of what's going on. Whereas in Quarantine they felt they needed to, and I'm like, again, what we were talking about, hand holding, and what
Yeah.
the menu didn't do, and what a lot of films do is like, here you go, we're going to give you a reason of why this is the, I'm like, don't give me a reason, that's more scary that way.
Just tell me the story.
You know, uh, a virus breaks out. What kind of virus? We don't know the origin. It just is out there, and now it's making people into zombies. Okay, that's more frightening than, well, it's a mutated form of such and such. I'm like, no, don't do that.
Yeah. It mutated from this, it does that. These are the results. It's kind of like, okay, where's the fun? You just gave me the
Yeah,
scientific method.
yeah, exactly. Or even an origin for a killer. You know, I know it's natural, but I sometimes don't need an origin for a killer. Just, okay, you know, it's some crazy guy. There you go. I don't need to know why. I'm good. I don't necessarily need an origin story for every single slasher.
Well, I think that was more of an early 2000s thing is when they started giving reasonings like I think Leatherface was one of the first early movies to do that like this is who he is, that's why he is who he is and it's like I don't care.
Yeah, it's like, okay, whatever. He's still the way he is. I don't really need to know his origin. It's more mystery. The mystery adds to the horror versus yeah. So
It's kind of like my niece when she saw Texas Chainsaw for the first time and she asked me, "Why is Leatherface wearing eyeshadow and lipstick?" And I go, "It doesn't matter. He's at dinner."
he just it's for dinner. It's got to look nice for dinner.
Yeah, I mean, granted it was a cut scene, but I was just like, "Well, he's at dinner."
Yeah, he's at dinner. There you go. and that's all I need. You don't need a huge explanation, especially like with the original Texas Chainsaw. They don't really give you the origin. It's this crazy rural family that eats people. Okay,
Yeah.
that, that's all I need to know.
Yeah, I don't really care for origins too much unless it actually adds to the mythology. But if you're just trying to
Yes,
explain every little thing, I mean, like, don't diamond nickel me on my favorite character.
right. And as much as Freddy gives you an origin, but the motivation behind Freddy gives you his motivation for what he's doing, and then we got Freddy's dead, and I was just like, wait, what? Now we're getting into demons? What? What?
I just went with it. I was a kid still at the time, so I'm like, it's Freddy.
Yeah, it's still Freddy. Even with the blatant, oh, we're in the dream world now. Put on your 3D glasses. Ooh, my grandparents took me to see Freddy's Dead. I loved that
Ah,
in the theater. And at one point, when she gets pulled in the dream world, they literally have the 3D glasses that they gave you at the theater. And she's like, here, put this on and you'll see how the dream world really is. And then that was your cue to put 3D glasses on.
yeah. I don't know if I still have them. For the longest time, I used to have those original glasses that they passed out at the theater.
Mm-hmm.
And I know on the inside it had an ad for House Party 2.
Yes, yes, they did. Yes, they did. Oh man, I remember that now. Yeah, you're right. I got that DVD box set a while back of Nightmare on Elm Street, and it came with 3D glasses, so that was
Yeah,
cool.
I have that same one. The Blu-ray that came out, I didn't care for it. The Blu-ray collection.
Yeah.
I was expecting it to look a lot nicer, and it's like, okay, you just gave us the films, but you didn't add anything to it.
If they're gonna do that, make it special. Otherwise, why'd I double dip? I don't
Yeah.
need to double dip.
I mean, my box is old. I'm glad I kept the shrink wrap on it. Otherwise, it'd probably be coming
Mm.
apart by now. But yeah, I mean, it looks way better than what the Blu-ray put out.
sometimes, sometimes, yeah, those conversions don't turn out right. They really don't. I'll just take the. I want some graininess. I want some of this. At least it's a little more acceptable. If I'm watching a VHS and it looks like that, okay. If I'm watching a Blu-ray and it looks like the VHS, well, I'll just watch the VHS.
Yeah, otherwise it just looks like a video to whatever transfer.
Yeah, they didn't put any effort into it. They just transferred it to a disc to sell the disc. So, uh, unfortunately, they do that with a lot of the B films, especially. But maybe with the new Toxic Avenger coming out, that'll spark people's interest into the B movie genre more.
Hmm.
We'll have to see. People rediscover Trauma. There you go.
Yeah, trauma I like. I had seen a little bit as a kid growing up because I was introduced to it by my brother. And then the same thing, I ran back across it later in life, like when I started watching Toxie.
Yeah, I can't believe they made cartoon out of that.
Well,
Uh,
I didn't know it was based off of that. I grew up in it. To me, it was just a cartoon, and that's all I knew.
yeah, that's the '80s though. They loved making cartoons out of rated R products or stuff that was risky. I mean, they did a RoboCop cartoon, you know. So it's like, wait, what?
all, all I remember is Teen Wolf and the Karate Kid.
Yes, Teen Wolf. Oh yeah, Karate Kid. Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice was fun.
I
I
liked
lo-
that one. Yeah,
the Beetlejuice cartoon was pretty good.
that
That
one went
one.
on for a long while.
Yeah, it did. It ran longer than I thought it would, for sure. Um,
And Lydia with her spiderweb poncho.
yes, yes, I love that poncho. I'm looking forward to Beetlejuice too. That looks like it's going to be fun.
I hope it's good. Otherwise, it's an issue of I don't think we needed the sequel to begin with, but they're doing it.
Well, it looks like they're putting effort into it anyway, recreating the sets and I like the casting. I mean, I like Jenna Ortega and the fact she's apparently playing the daughter of Lydia Dietz.
Oh, okay.
Uh, uh, the daughter, yeah, the daughter of, yeah, and
Yeah.
they're getting a Winona Ryder back. So
Yeah. I mean, I hope it's good. I love being proven wrong. Like, I want it to be a good sequel. Like, a lot of people didn't like the Hocus Pocus sequel.
yeah, I know a number of people who didn't like it, who were big fans of the original. Um, but I didn't watch it. I haven't actually watched it yet, but I heard that it was just. I think it was because of the budget that a lot of people complained it just looked cheap.
Hmm.
So, and yeah, so I have to watch that some point. They're playing Hocus Pocus this weekend at our theater, and Beetlejuice is. They're
Oh,
going to
no.
play on the mega screen. I think Tuesday and Wednesday. So that is going to be cool. Well, unfortunately, I'm going to need to bug out.
Okay.
So, but this was fun. I'm glad I got. I'm glad you asked me about it. It's because I would mean to watch the menu for a long time, and then this got me a chance to give me some motivation to actually put it up on my watch list. So, and I'm glad I did. And now I'm frustrated that I slept on it because it's definitely a movie up my alley, for sure. Not just the cast, but just how quirky the thing is. So
No, it's good. I enjoyed it. It has rewatchability. I'll give it that.
yeah, it definitely does. I definitely have to watch it again to get some of the stuff I might have missed. Any
Mhm.
hints or anything earlier. Uh, so that's always a sign of a good movie when you can watch it again and see something different
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay, so before we go, did you have anything that you wanted to promote or?
Just my website, if you don't mind, it's just specialmarkproductions.com. I got my YouTube channel there, which we just celebrated 17 years there. We're doing the podcast, Only Lovers Left Alive. So, which I believe you showed interest in. So
Yeah.
that'll be Monday. So hope you can make it to that one because part of our He's Not Loki month. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. But if they just go to my website, there's a lot of stuff there and links to everything that I do pretty much there.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Yeah, and I goofed again. I watched Only Lovers Left Alive. I watched it a week early.
Oh, well, that's okay. Well, you're ahead of the game. See, I gotta still watch it. I'll probably watch it. I'll watch it tonight, most likely, if I don't go see Killers of the Flower Moon and put
Oh,
my butt to sleep. So, uh, but yeah, I'll talk to you later, Cara. Thank you for having me
all right.
on.
Thanks for stopping by. All right, guys, that is all we have for today, and I will talk to you later.